Hello, listeners. That was an interesting interview. But now I want you all to welcome two new hosts making their debut for Out of Place. We got TwoTone and Gami, who will be hosting Geek Soup. In this segment, they talk about fun Halloween stuff and stories you do not want to miss. So without further ado, here's a fantastic duo, TwoTone and Gami. Enjoy.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Headshot.
Ooh, yeah!
D20s are red. Meeples are blue. You're a sexy geek. And we love you.
Hello, everyone. It is I, TwoTone, and welcome to Geek Soup, a podcast segment hosted on the Out of Place Network. Here with me, I have my lovely co-host, Origami Cyclone Fan.
Hello. It's Gami.
It's Gami, and today we are going to be talking about the spooky season. Yes, it is officially October 1st where we are. We are so excited, and today Gami and I are going to be talking about, Halloween and everything that it pretty much is. Experiences, personal experiences, and everything else, and how it is changed over the years for us as kids and everything else. So, what is the first thing we're going to be talking about, Gami?
We're gonna be talking about Halloween during our childhood.
Oh, during the childhood. Goodness gracious. What was your childhood for Halloween like? Because I kind of hardly remember now.
I kind of lived in that sort of community where everyone was just a little too far away to each other. So we couldn't really go door to door trick or treating. Like, I was the only kid on my street, and my friend was 5 minutes away by car. That sort of deal. There were different community events that existed in place of that. A popular one in my elementary school was that a bunch of parents would bring their kids, and what they would do is they would leave their trunks open. And I know that sounds sketchy, but just hear me out on this. They would leave their trunks open and have, someone in the trunk they might, decorate or something. Basically giving out candy to kids who would go car to car. That's
not as weird as it sounds, because here, where I live, we actually call that trunk or treat. It's kind of like the same concept. It's for a bunch of, kids that can't necessarily go trick-or-treating within their communities and everything else, so they'll find a parking lot. Normally here for us, it's college parking lots, because the college kids will normally hold them. They'll fill them up with candy, decorate their trunks and everything else, and just let everybody have a ball. So it's not as weird as you may think it is.
Yeah. We did have another community event that was pretty much the same thing, only instead it was at this clubhouse, and then people would set up tables. And it would basically be the same thing, just trick-or-treating, asking adults for candy. Occasionally, there would be costume contests, things like that.
Alright, like a little Halloween convention and everything.
Exactly. What about you, TwoTone?
Oh boy. My Halloween as a kid, that was actually very memorable. I had a lot of good times as a kid, not quite a few. I'm going to say I had a lot of good times as a kid. Halloween especially. I remember, goodness, this is actually quite a story. I actually remember one year my aunt on my mom's side was throwing a Halloween party for all of the little ones and everything else. And I was pretty much like a homebody as a kid when it came to Halloween and everything else. So I wanted to go home with my parents at the time, because I didn't necessarily want to be around everyone. It was Halloween. I didn't want to be scared or anything like that. It was a weird thing at the time. I was a scaredy cat, but now I love horror and Halloween and everything else. It's weird. So the Halloween party went on. Everyone's around watching a scary movie and everything else. And the next thing you know, we have one of our family members attempting to scare us, which he actually did a really good job, because we were just so deep into the movie and everything else. And they planned it out. He dressed up as Freddy Krueger. I had another uncle there who played as Jason. There was a lot. I don't think I slept that night at all. And as far as going trick-or-treating, we normally just all piled in the car, went to the rich part of the neighborhoods where they sold out the big bars of candy, and just went there and had a blast. Obviously, parents be checking for poison and everything else. You know how that is.
Yep.
You know. is. But as I got older, though, like, we stopped trick-or-treating, like, as kids. 8 or 9 is when I stopped trick-or-treating because I was more interested in going into parties and everything else. That's for a different subject here in a little bit. But as a kid, I had a lot of fun. I really did. I enjoyed the face paint. I enjoyed the costumes. I had siblings and everything else. So, like, it was a time where we had to, my brother and I would be dressed up as the same costume because we didn't have money for, like, extra costumes and everything else. So we'd both be, like, the Incredible Hulk, or we would both be, like, the guy from Scream. I mean, Ghostface, that's his name. We're supposed to be Ghostface, but I still had a good time.
I gotta ask TwoTone, what kind of costumes did you wear as a kid?
As a kid? Oh my god. So, as a kid, I did enjoy face paint aesthetic. So I did a vampire. I remember I did a werewolf one day. A cat, maybe. I probably dressed up as something simple, maybe like a zombie. Oh god, I can't tell you how many times I dressed up as a zombie as a kid. Like, that was probably one of my favorite things to dress up as, only because it took very little work. The makeup wasn't that complicated unless you wanted to actually be very detailed about it. And I could, like, wear basically whatever I want and not have to spend money on clothes. I think that was probably the reason why I enjoyed it so much, because I could still wear my own clothes. My Halloween outfits now, though, totally different from when I was a kid. Like, not even the same.
Fair enough.
What about you, Gami?
I've actually had a bit of history with costumes. My kindergarten costume was like a full-size costume of like SpongeBob. Like,
oh, really?
Just imagine a little girl in like a giant yellow box. Well, not box. It was like a legitimate costume with like the whole rounded features and everything.
Oh my god, do you have a picture of that?
I'm sure my mom does somewhere.
Please.
I know she has it still in her office.
Wait, like the picture or the costume?
The picture.
Oh, I was about to be like, she has the costume? Why?
I think she has it like cut out to my shape and like taped onto her cabinets or something.
That is absolutely adorable. I really hope you have that picture, and if you do, send it to me, please.
I think first grade I dressed up as a witch. I have a distinct memory of like that Halloween being very windy and my dad like trying to like chase my hat. Towards the later years of childhood, I'll say. I think it was like around 4th grade or something. I dressed up as a cat. And what we did is there was like this black neon t-shirt with like a picture of a cat on it. It was like a Halloween shirt. And what my mom did, she made a fake tail for me, like out of fabric.
Nice.
And instead of like cat ears that you would find from the shop, my mom used to like work with bows. She had like a lot of ribbons. So she took like a large ribbon, like folded that into like cat ears for me. And then she painted my face. I know I do have a picture of that one.
That is, okay, that I do want to see, because that's creative, like, as fuck, and that is actually really cool. Like, making a cat ear out of ribbons, your mom sounds like legit primo. Love that.
Yep.
I absolutely love that. Okay, do you have any, I'm gonna go there. As a kid, do you have any traumatic, like, Halloween, like, moments that you can remember?
No, honestly, all, like, my traumatic holidays were, like, New Year's, but,
Really? Oh, that's definitely another time. I can't wait to hear that story.
Nah, I mostly had, like, good memories of Halloween. Like, in the year that I dressed up as a cat, I remember I won a little sticker of, like, best pair because I happened to be standing next to my friend who was dressed as a witch. And my mom was also dressed as a witch that year. So there was just a picture of, like, me and my mom, cat and witch duo.
Cat and witch duo, that's so adorable. My parents never no, I lied. My mom, she used to dress up as one of the characters from one of her favorite movies. My dad would always dress up as, I think one year he dressed up as King Kong, like a gorilla. It was hilarious. It was scary because at the time I'm a kid, so I don't know what the heck is going on. But I remember he dressed up as a gorilla one year, and it was actually really, really funny. I enjoyed it.
I remember there was like this Halloween dance, and I remember there was this really cool wear-cat costume that I wanted to wear. But, like, the only one they had in stock at, like, Walmart was, like, a size too small for me.
Right.
So I had to go in, like, a vampire costume. And so I see, like, this girl who also had, like, the same vampire costume, who also shared the same name as me.
Oh my gosh.
And the vampire costume was also their second choice, because they wanted to, like, dress up as a wizard.
That is adorable.
It was a wonderful coincidence, and I made a new friend that day.
That is amazing. That is so cool. See, guys, don't ever be afraid to take that chance to go out there because someone might be thinking the same thing or you guys might be in the same situation.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. My middle school Halloween experience was not that memorable for me. Probably only because I've spent most of my middle school, like my Halloween, like at school. We would have big events like at school and everything, candy and all that good stuff. And then I would end up literally just probably going home and playing video games, watching something scary. Disney Channel. Yeah, that's basically where I was my entirety of middle school, was just like at home watching like Disney Channel Halloween and like cartoon Halloween specials and stuff like that. Middle school was the era of TV and movies for me and everything else. So I can't really say that I had any sort of like crazy memorable stories. It kind of sucks a little bit.
Yeah,
honestly.
Like, I was also thinking about my middle school years, and I'm like, that's honestly kind of a blur for me. Like, I remember high school pretty well.
Oh God, do I remember high school like crazy. And we actually have a little bit of time here before we can like take a small little break and then jump into high school and everything. But like high school was one of those things for me that I remember wholeheartedly. That was just crazy. But middle school though, I will say one of the biggest things that I did enjoy about Halloween at school is that we would always have some sort of dance. I'm a dancer, so I enjoy going to the dances and everything else and like doing the Thriller and everything. You know how school dances are whenever they play those certain bops that are supposed to be played around times and everything else. So I'm just very happy that I at least got to do that and have at least a school portion of a Halloween instead of just hopping in the car and like going to the rich part of the neighborhoods and everything.
We also had like a couple of Halloween dances in middle school. I do remember trying to like make plans with my friends to like dress up in certain costumes for our Halloween, but we never actually went through with it. Like, we were making plans because my friends were super into like Legend of Zelda. And I was like, oh man, we had these two friends who would constantly get mistaken for each other despite like not being related. So like I would make a joke of like, one of you could be Zelda and the other one could be Sheik. And and this person can be Navi, and it was perfect because she loved to like dye her hair. So in my mind, I was just like, yes, she could dye her hair blue.
Yes.
And like that, like default me to like Link, I think.
You would have been a short Link.
Yep. I would have been an Asian Link. Who knows for Nintendo?
Who knows? I mean, you would consider it. I would consider it.
And I also had this one friend who I would constantly like tease. Are you familiar with Skyward Sword?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with Lord Girahim?
Oh my gosh, am I ever?
I had this one friend who I could have sworn had the same hairstyle as Lord Girahim.
Oh god.
And I was trying to convince him so hard to be like willing to like dress up as him, but he said no every time. I'm like,
damn it. Why can't people just play the roles that they're supposed to play in life?
Exactly.
Now we're going to move on to Halloween during our high school times. Oh boy, I'm quite sure all of us have had wonderful memories of going to Halloween parties and staying out late and pulling pranks and, you know, just being a teenager in high school around the Halloween time. Probably one of the most mischievous times for anyone. Gami, what was Halloween like for you in high school?
Well, I'll definitely say it did not involve any parties. Around this time, I had like a few new friends from band. Well, I wasn't in band in high school, but I knew them from, like, middle school band.
Right.
Who invited me to, like, their community to go trick-or-treating, because their community was more close-knit, I suppose. They could actually go door-to-door. So we would go there, and I would be dressed up as Pichu. I had a hat, and I had, like, a yellow shirt, and I called it there.
Adorable.
One of my friends that year also dressed up as a Pokemon trainer. So it was perfect. But yeah, we would go door to door, we would collect candy, and then we would go check them at the end for any knives, because that's just a part of life, am I right?
I mean, you're right.
I distinctly have this one memory of, I think this was like towards our later high school years, but we went to like this one house, and the woman there's just like, aren't you getting too old for Halloween? And we're just like, no, we're never too old.
We're never too... I hate hearing that. Like, okay, maybe after a certain age, yeah, sure. But we're in high school. We're still allowed to live this just a little bit longer. Like,
exactly. Until we've graduated or turned 18. Whichever is later. Whichever feels right.
I mean, I still went trick-or-treating after the age of 18, but that's only because I still look like I'm 18, so...
Exactly. Something else noteworthy of Halloween is that, for one thing, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and if you're from Pennsylvania, you would know that we get some very unpredictable weather up there. Namely, I distinctly recall one Halloween where it was snowing.
Oh my,
There
what?
was snow on the ground and ice. That we would try to carefully maneuver as we try to knock on people's houses.
Oh my god, snow? See, I've only been to Pennsylvania once, and that was during the summertime.
Oh yeah.
So, I guess I was lucky, but other than that, what?
I'll never forget the one time my friend's mom was driving the car, and there was like these kids in the street playing around. 3 of them were like zombies, and I remember them like walking slowly towards the car, doing their like zombie walk while it was snowing. It was a beautiful sight.
Oh, beautiful zombies in the snow.
Yeah.
For me, oh boy. Freshman year, I started getting like somewhat popular during like 8th grade, 9th grade year. So when I hit 9th grade year, I had started to find that I was a chameleon in a sense. Like I fit in with pretty much almost anyone. I just had to like shift. I was a band kid throughout high school, but my freshman year, I went to a popular kids Halloween party and I dressed up as a cat. And that was probably the first time where I was invited to a Halloween party and I was actually wanted there, because when I got in there, it was actually a nice vibe. Everyone was like loving it. I was a cat. I pretty much have been a cat like from the freshman year of high school all the way up until now. I've just been a different variation of a cat. So my first one, I was probably like a really pretty cat. I had the ears, I had the tail, like paw, the collar, and all this other good stuff, and went above and beyond. And then like sophomore year came around, I was homeschooled around my sophomore year, but I was still friends with a bunch of people that went to school, so I would still get invited to Halloween parties. So I was invited to a Halloween party my sophomore year. It was a friend that I had recently made, and it was a little small get-together, maybe like 7 or 8 people, and we were all sitting around watching movies and everything. That was probably one of the more flirtatious Halloween parties that I have went to, because everyone was kind of digging everyone. I had someone digging me, and it was one of those things. So it wasn't necessarily like a spooky little sort of thing, but it was like a sexy spooky sort of thing. Like everyone was like had someone to hold on to if they got scared, and then like had someone to sleep next to once like it was all like said and done.
See, TwoTone out here living the teenage movie life.
I'm okay.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, man, here I am with my nerd friends.
My nerd friends. Okay, look, first, it wasn't like a teenage movie life, but I felt if it was, I would have been the first one dead. I'm just gonna say that now. I'm black. We would have been done. That's it. It was really nice to just at least be able to have that experience, because it was my first time ever just actually being like, oh, cool. I kind of like somewhat have a little date. And then my junior year, that's when the rowdiness came in. That's when I like started drinking a little bit and everything else. Went to a Halloween party, made friends with them. And that was probably when I had figured out that I do not like vodka at all. Vodka, I hate vodka so much. Every time I hear the word or when I smell it or see it, my spine shivers out of place, and then it fixes itself right back up. Like, I cannot do it at all.
Understandable. Vodka reminds me of medicine.
Oh,
I cannot make that separate association.
Oh gosh, like the smell kills me. So my junior year at this Halloween party, I was dressed up as a cat again. This time it was a little bit more like not as uppity. I had the ears, I had the tail, I had the collar, and that was pretty much it. I had the shirt, half-cut shirt, tight pants, kitty cat, all that. We are playing beer pong. We are taking shots. We have a karaoke machine going on in the background. There are people making out. There are people smoking weed. It's crazy. And it was all at my friend's house, and her mom just pretty much allowed it. Not necessarily like she let us tear up her house or anything like that. Like, we obviously respected this woman because she gave us a safe place to do it all and everything. But it was still just the craziness of waking up like next to someone that you don't remember laying next to at all, or just seeing like 2 dudes like sleeping on top of each other because they both got too drunk and just passed out on each other. Not in like that sort of way, but they just passed out. Like, they were just 2 bros having a great time and they just passed out. And I was like, all right, cool. That's how most of my parties went for my junior year when it came to parties, and then senior year came around. And that is when I was working. I was still living with my parents, but I was out of the house most of the time when it came to my parents and everything else. So those sort of parties were way, way crazy. Like, I actually had to be very careful about whose party I was going to at that time, because I would have hung out with anyone. Like I said, I was a chameleon, so I shifted a little bit. I was hanging out with people who did a little bit harder of drugs, and I was hanging out with people who, the drama and all this other good stuff. So I would have to, like, hang with a certain group of people at the Halloween party I was invited to, only because I knew that certain group of people weren't going to get crazy or do anything. And so, like, I wasn't drinking or anything at that time. I, like, slowed down on drinking because I just hated it. It wasn't for me. I more or less just smoke weed now. So I was just over there high, minding my business, doing this, that, or the other. It's a certain thing about once you hit your senior year in high school and you're hanging out with people who are kind of a little older than you are, and you see what their lives are like, that's when you're like, all right, maybe I don't need to be going to Halloween parties all the freaking time. And I think that's when it started to hit me as an adult too. Don't just go to any Halloween party, because you could literally end up like either in jail, dead, or in a situation that you don't want to be in. And that's just what my life was like for Halloween. That's a high school.
Any more secret two-tone costumes we got out here?
I did cross-dress. I did dress up in drag.
Ooh,
quite
nice.
a bit. Yes, I did dress up in drag quite a bit, junior, senior year. So there was some times where I was, a cat with, like, pretty kitty with wig and everything. And then I was like, I did dress up as quote-unquote Nicki Minaj one year. I had a gothic girl look going on. I had the preppy girl look going on. So I don't think I have pictures of them. I would have to go on my Facebook and look. But I did dress up in drag quite a bit. The skirt, the whole thing, the whole shabam. It was a lot. And I had fun doing it. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot of fun. But getting into the shit was horrible. I'm just going to tell you that one now. Getting out of it was easy. Getting into it was,
Yeah, my costumes back in pretty much my grade school years, I'm gonna call it that. I remember there was one year where I decided to dress up as what I called childhood Velma, which was basically, I had this orange sweater, like this bright orange Velma sweater. I decided to, like, throw on, like, a red skirt. My hair was long. I didn't have the glasses. I did have the signature shoes. So I just called myself a younger version of Velma.
Oh my god.
I do have a distinct memory. It was senior year of high school. You're gonna laugh at this two-tone. So it was around this time where I had a crush on, like, this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to ask him, like, hey, do you want to go to Big Wheel together? And Big Wheel is, like, this skating rink.
Yeah.
And then I turned to my friend adjacent to him and said, yeah, you want to come along too?
What?
I bailed!
Gami, no! You set it up. You set it up.
I was very shy back then. I want to let you know, this was my, like, first ever attempt at, like, trying to ask out a guy in my senior year of high school.
And you, like, had it. The ball was in your court. That was it. Dang. You know what? Your friend, you should have just told your friend to, like, just cancel, like, last minute. Like, have you two be there. Literally, look,
Okay.
I would have been your bestie in high school.
I don't think anyone knew anyway. But it ended up being this, like, huge, not huge, but, like, I would say huge for a nerd group.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was, like, maybe, like, less than 10 of us. Like, oh yeah, let's all go to, like, Big Wheel together.
Right, like just make it a thing.
Made it like a Facebook group or some shit. I don't remember if I actually did that or not. I felt like I did. But,
oh my god.
Basically invited a bunch of friends to, like, roller skating on Halloween.
Mm.
Even, like, costume contests that they were doing at the rink. And, I remember I told my sister-in-law about it, and she helped me, like, try to find a costume, because, I had, like, previous costumes before, but they were, like, simple and stuff I had since middle school. So I just wanted to, like, wear a cute costume for myself. And I remember my sister-in-law took me to this costume shop, and a lot of their costumes were pretty much either, like, super cutesy, like, childish cutesy, or, like, the complete opposite of the spectrum of, like, adult sexy.
Oh gosh.
And I think the attendant that was there, female, she was, like, trying to help me pick out a costume, and I remember my sister-in-law, like, whispering something into her ear. And she's like, oh, okay. I think she told her, like, I was trying to impress a boy. But I ended up getting this, like, Red Riding Hood costume. My sister-in-law puts makeup on me, go to this Halloween group meetup event. They do like a little costume contest at the rink. I joined and then bailed out last second. You can see a pattern here.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
And to top it all off, after I went through that effort of trying my best, but failing, the guy did not show up.
What?
But in his defense, he got lost on the way there, so he had to head back. I think it was also like his dad driving him.
Oh,
They got lost, he had to head back. I picked up like a little one of those, not glow in the dark, but like those toys that light up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I got one of those that was like shaping a bunny for him.
Aww.
And that was the end of that.
So, for this last portion of our podcast segment, we are going to be talking about Halloween as an adult now for us, and what Halloween was like back then, and what Halloween is like now. And if we get done with that and like a little earlier, we'll just throw in some facts. I have some Halloween facts over here that I'm more than happy to share. That sounds interesting. Gami does actually have some more stuff about her that she would like to indulge you guys with when it comes to Halloween and the spooky season. But yeah, Gammy Whammy, what have you been up to as an adult since Halloween?
Working. After I graduated high school, I started like working my first job and then eventually my second job. But I remember during my what I would call my KFC years.
KFC.
This podcast is not sponsored by them, but
we are not sponsored by KFC.
I remember at that time, my workplace would allow us to like wear full costumes for Halloween.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, and I remember a couple things actually. First off, it was like planning to get dressed for Halloween. We're all like a bunch of coworkers and like the assistant manager and I were like prepping for Halloween. I was gonna go dress in my, like, vampire costume. I just briefly showed my assistant manager about, like, my Red Riding Hood costume, and I'm like, I really like the Red Riding Hood costume, but, I feel like it's, like, too short, and, like, I'm self-conscious about that. By which I mean too short. It's like, oh, it's above the fingertips. Because that was the dress code policy at my high school, and that stuck with me, I guess. She's like, no, like, wear the Red Riding Hood outfit. It looks so much nicer. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wore it. It was a good time. We were all in costume at work, and I distinctly remember, for some reason, like, these kids and, like, a woman started, like, getting into a heated argument in the lobby. And my assistant manager, like, dressed as a zebra, like, goes to, like, break it up. And I just remember, like, I was helping a customer at the time, and a customer has, like, this sort of, like, bewildered look on her face. I just remember saying something like, well, at least I could go home to my family and tell them I saw a zebra break up a fight.
Literally saw a zebra break up a fight. I love it. Oh my god.
We laughed, we had a good time. I remember a following year, my assistant manager and we had an idea for a costume that we didn't go through on because I ended up not going through with it in the end. I'll explain why in a minute. We had ideas to, like, dress up as each other. And
yeah.
At that time, my assistant manager was also on house arrest. So she had, like, the whole ankle bracelet. And we were making jokes of, like, oh yeah, we're gonna, like, show the other managers, like, just lift up the pants leg and show the ankle bracelet.
Oh my god.
And the reason why we didn't end up going through with it was me, because we were gonna, like, dye hairs, etc., etc. I didn't really go through with it, because, for one thing, I'll put it this way. My assistant manager was a lot more full-figured than I was.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, if you're gonna dress up as me, you're gonna have to, like, stuff your chest. I'm like,
girl,
I don't want to do that.
Girl.
She's like, yeah, I'll buy my chest, you stuff yours. I'm like, my pride as a female.
Right.
And
I mean, I get it.
Another thing, she's like, oh, we're gonna, like, switch name tags, but you're gonna have to, like, act as, like, the assistant manager. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with responsibility.
Oh, Gami.
So I didn't go through with it. But it would have been funny. It would have been funny.
It would have been funny. Nope, that would have been funny.
I was just being a baby about it. It's fine.
That is adorable.
Later on, when I moved and, like, got a different job, this is my current job, we are not allowed to... Let me backtrack a bit. Between my two jobs,
yeah,
I lived in a community where, like, kids could actually go door to door. So I would dress up in my Red Riding Hood outfit and like give candy to kids. And I'm like, yeah, I should have enough candy for a night. I was empty in like less than 2 hours.
Oh dear lord.
There was one kid that like came up to the door just as I put my sign down, asking for candy, and like I was just like,
I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Luckily, I just gave him like some of my stash that I secretly kept for myself.
I mean,
but I was just like, I can't turn away a kid. What do I have? I got a box of Pocky, or I got my secret stash. Okay, secret stash. Let's get
secret stash. Yeah, secret stash. Don't you give him that Pocky.
Fast forwarding to my second job. We're not allowed to wear full costumes. But what I was able to do, I had my Pichu hat. I actually went into work, wore it as a joke. And they were like, yeah, you can keep it on. I'm like, oh, sweet. I even had, like, my same yellow shirt that I just tossed over my work uniform.
Yeah.
And my work uniform was black, so it matched perfectly.
It worked.
And I just went about my work day just as per norm. And
as per norm.
Further on into my adult years, I would plan these hangouts with my friends. I'll give an example for, like, last year. Last year, I dressed up in full costume. I also told my friends to dress up, or not to dress up, but that I was gonna dress up, and they left me out in the open. They didn't dress up, but to my one friend's defense, the other person did not tell her that dressing up was gonna be a thing, and I'm like, you guys bailed on me. It's fine.
You guys bailed on me. Oh my gosh.
It's okay, because my neighbors came in, and they were dressed up, so I was not alone.
Aww.
What we did for that Halloween night, or more like Halloween weekend, we decided to play, like, quote-unquote spooky board games. So games like Betrayal on House on the Hill and Touch of Evil. And then later on that night, my friends and I also played a tabletop game called Monster Hearts, where you're basically like these teenage characters that are secretly supernatural characters, and they're trying to like live their high school life. Like some sort of like teenage drama,
Right.
But it was a good time, just a bunch of like Halloween themed board games. And yeah, that's how I spend my Halloween nights nowadays, just work and board games.
Nice. You know what? I actually remember that there is an age difference between us. So yeah, I forget that there's an age difference between us. So
I don't think I actually know your age. I know you're a bit older than me, but
yes,
I think I forgot your age, to be honest.
I want to say at least by maybe 4 or 5 years.
I would give that estimate, yeah.
So, not to make it sound like that, but around your age, when I was doing Halloween at that age, I was back and forth. I did like fall out of the whole hanging out with the weird people. Plus, I was working at the time. So most of my jobs, like, we would work during the day. We'd be able to dress up and everything else. And obviously, I would be a cat. Out of all of my freaking jobs, I've always dressed up as a cat. And I've worked in restaurants my entire life. So we had to make sure that all of our stuff was tight fit and it, like, didn't mess up with us working and anything. And me being a cat was probably one of the best things because I was a little speedy thing and I was quiet. So it just made sense that I was the cat of the restaurant. I enjoyed that part. But after work, however, when everyone left, that's when we would like have drinks and have our own little Halloween party. And then we'd either go out to a bar or we'd find someone's house to go to. And I will say working in a restaurant and being invited to a Halloween party is probably so freaking fun because you get to party with the people at work. You get to see people that you work with out of their element and get to see them have so much fun. And you get to see a different side of them. And that's what I enjoy now as an adult for Halloween is like most adults still live that life of, oh my God, it's a holiday. Like I remember I want to relive my teenage moments again and like get drunk and stupid and do all of this. And like, I absolutely love that. And when it came to working and everything else, it was really fun because we did get to hand out candy. We always got to hand out candy. It's a restaurant for crying out loud. Like, we're going to get to hand out candy. We also had little fun times for when kids would come in dressed up and everything else. We would give them a little treat and everything else. It was just, as an adult, I had so much fun watching the little ones have fun because that just made me want to enjoy Halloween even more. And it reminds me that I don't have to be so stuck up as an adult. Like, yes, I have to be serious and I have to adult more times than I would like to, but I'm still able to have fun, let loose, live in the moments of living my nostalgia and not letting anything get beside that. basically, is where my Halloween is as an adult now. I haven't really done anything since then. With my mom passing away, she's been passed away for 2 years now. Holidays just kind of seem a little weird. And I also lost my brother this year in January. Sorry to make this a little personal, you guys, but I kind of need to like make it all make sense on why I'm not like a huge fan of holidays, but like losing two of those people and both of their birthdays being close to holidays and everything else. Like my brother was born October 24th. So it's kind of close to Halloween. So I'm just like, all this other good stuff. But I still enjoy it because I know that my childhood, I spent it with my mom and my brother. I have that and I always will have that. And my adult years, I'm slowly turning into a grouch. But seeing little ones have fun makes me as an adult feel like I can still have that fun and all that other good stuff. Sorry, we got totally off track. We're gonna jump right back on it.
I mean, kids always make things better.
Kids literally, like, I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, kids can be annoying at times. Sometimes they can be annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But kids will literally make you remember what it is like to actually be happy and, like, be so carefree and ignorant in a good way. Anything else you want to add for being an adult in Halloween, Gami Wemmy?
No, that's pretty much it. I guess the only other thing is that nowadays I kind of prefer when I'm like trying to prep up trick-or-treat stuff. Instead of like buying up the mix bag from like Walmart, I just take a bunch of smaller bags of candies that I like and just mix them all together.
Those big mixed bags of candies, they normally have too much of one candy or not enough of one candy, and it's never a good portion.
Or they'll have the one candy that you don't like.
Right, or the one candy that you don't freaking like. I'm glad that the one thing that hasn't changed about Halloween is just the candy.
Yeah.
Like, the candy has always stayed the same. And that's what we are going to talk about. It's just how Halloween has changed over the years for us as, like, kids. Because I remember as a kid, Halloween wasn't, like, as strict as it is now. Halloween wasn't as dangerous as it is now. Like, we just were able to dress up in costumes, go out there, get candy, come home, and be done with it. That's it. Like, we didn't have a certain time, I don't think. Nowadays, where I live, like, Halloween starts at, like, 5 and ends at 7.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is, like, here, I think, as well.
Yeah, like, you roughly get an hour and a half. But back then, you could trick-or-treat for, like, 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And not even worry about it. Like, literally trick-or-treat until, like, it was too dark to see.
Pretty much.
But that's all changed now, and, like, I just don't know how most people, or how most kids feel about that. Or even if they knew that Halloween back in the day used to be so different compared to now. It was just,
What kind of candy did you like or dislike at, like, trick-or-treating?
Guys, this podcast might take a little bit longer than expected. So, candy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we didn't even think about that. Candy. I was a huge chocolatier, dude. Like, a chocolatier. I loved anything chocolatey, and I loved anything sour.
Okay. I'm pretty much the same way.
Literally anything, but not at the same time. It had to be separate. Like, I enjoy Warheads. I enjoy the sour, juicy drop pop, like, stuff. Any of that. Like, oh my God, I love those. And as far as chocolate, fun fact about TwoTone, believe it or not, I get nightmares when I eat expensive chocolate.
What?
I'm not bullshitting you. I've tested this. I remember one night I was eating like a normal plain Reese's whatever and I'm fine, but I remember like one other night I was eating some sort of like Lindor's truffles or whatever, something that would be considered fancy chocolate or above that, or like De Brands or whatever. Like, I've eaten De Brands before and I've gotten nightmares from that. Instant. I don't know why, and I never figured it out. But whenever I eat fancy chocolate, I get nightmares. I don't eat fancy chocolate that much anymore, but sometimes I still will, not even thinking about it, and then it'll hit me later.
That is so odd. I thought, like, getting nightmares from food was just, like, a legend or something.
I am so serious. I get nightmares from chocolate. That's crazy. It really is. And I can't explain it, but I do.
I guess I'm, like, picky when it comes to certain candy. Like, I'm gonna get a lot of people that's disappointed me for saying this, but I don't like caramel.
You know what? For me, it all depends on how it's made.
Okay.
It depends on how thick it is. It depends on the texture, the viscosity. If it's more, like, hard to swallow, or if it's more like, if the caramel is meant to be swallowed instead of, like, worked a bit, then I will eat it. But if it's caramel that's supposed to be worked a little bit and has to, like, be chewed in a sense, I'm not digging it. I'm totally not digging it.
For me personally, I can, like, deal with, like, a thin layer of caramel in, like, chocolate or something. But beyond that, I just don't care for it too much.
I totally feel you and understand.
And I'm
totally
gonna,
feel you and understand.
I'm gonna get another disappointed look for this. I also don't like Reese's.
Oh, God.
Here's my thing with Reese's.
I'm listening.
I like chocolate.
Yeah?
I like peanut butter.
Oh,
I
God.
just don't like them together.
Why not? Okay, have you actually tried taking like a Hershey bar and then taking smooth peanut butter and eating it that way? That's actually a totally different experience.
I mean, no, but I do feel like it would probably be a better experience for me. I think my main thing when it comes to like Reese's like peanut butter is that like when I have peanut butter, like I expect it to be like very creamy.
Yeah.
And Reese's peanut butter, it's not creamy.
It's not. No, I get it. That's why I'm like,
different.
yeah, no, so that's why, like, for anyone that does not like Reese's, I genuinely say get a jar of peanut butter, get a Hershey bar, try it that way. I feel like you'll like it a little bit better because that's a totally different experience because that's actually creamy, like, peanut butter that you're using.
Yeah, I'm a very, like, texture person when it comes to food.
I totally get, no, I get, trust me, I get it. Like, I really get it. I get nightmares from fancy chocolate. I get it.
I also really like sour candy, but I've developed such a high tolerance for sour candy that like anything below Sour Patch levels of sour, it's just not good enough for me.
It's not. Girl,
like,
I feel you.
I've tried those like regular lemon heads, like they're just called lemon heads.
You're right.
And I'm like, this isn't sour at all.
Not at all. Like,
it's kind of like spicy food when it just becomes a challenge at that point.
Like, is this the best you can do?
Yes.
With that, we are going to end the podcast here. We kind of did go over just a little bit, but that kind of happens whenever you're having fun. I want to thank everyone that tuned into the podcast to give me and Origami Cyclone fan a listen. We appreciate it. We really do. This podcast segment is new. I am still trying to learn how to manage and host and get everything all set up. And I do feel like with the help of my lovely co-host, Origami Cyclone fan, I'm going to be able to do that. We have a wonderful chemistry. I hope you guys enjoy listening to us and everything else. We'll try to be a bit more geeky about it next time. We just enjoy each other's company and we just enjoy sharing our experiences with you guys. So that way you can also think back to those times of when you were a kid during Halloween or a teenager and in high school and all that other good stuff. This has been Geek Soup. I am TwoTone. This is my lovely co-host, Origami Cyclone fan.
Thank you all for listening today. If we don't see you by then, happy Halloween.
Yes. Happy Halloween, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Don't do too many hard drugs and all that other good stuff. You know, be sane. Be an adult. Okay, love you, mean it. Bye.
Bye.